Ain't no telephone bills.
What's good, Enigmites? And you thought that I was the coolest thing to ever come out of Tennessee? Well, you're wrong. I actually went out and found somebody that's slightly above me in the cool factor, and that's saying something because I'm the coolest person I know. Anyways, but anyhow, we're in for a treat tonight. I've went out, made besties with my boy Harley Owens, Bigfoot researcher extraordinaire, coming out of Tennessee, East Tennessee. We don't deal with them West, y'all basically Arkansas, East Arkansas, Memphis boys down there, but a couple East Tennessee boys. Harley, how you doing, man? Thank you for coming on my show, brother.
I'm doing extremely well. It's glad to be here, Joe. I want to thank everybody that's going to tune in and watch this, and you're in for a real treat tonight. So it's going to be a roller coaster ride. For if you don't, I'm sure some of your followers don't know me, so this is their chance to get to know me and hear about some of my experiences and my encounter in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park.
And your experiences, man. I will say, man, they're awesome. In fact, before you run off tonight, I'm actually going to connect you with some information. I'm going to connect you with some Bigfoot researchers out of northern New Jersey that I want you to get up with. But we'll do that after the show. Anyways, they're really good guys, man. Yeah. They're good guys. So Harley, before we get into the fun stuff, man, I got to do the boring. Hey, Harley, where are you from? How you doing? So Harley, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Tell us where you're from, all that good stuff, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm 24 years old, married to my lovely wife, Gabrielle. We have 3 kids, Colton, Ivy, and Iris. I was born and raised in Jacksboro, Tennessee. It's about 30 miles north of Knoxville, right before you get into Kentucky. You go up I-75 and you see the big green dragon on the side of the interstate. That's where I'm from. So that's the best way I can simplify it. You go up 75 and you see the big green dragon. That's where I'm from. So, you know, I live in Newport now. I've lived here a little over a year. 2 years will be in March or April. So, you know, if anybody would have told me that I was going to start researching Bigfoot 3 years ago after my first experience, you know, I would have told them they were crazy. But, you know, sure enough, here I am, 3 years after my first initial encounter. And it's just been nothing but a roller coaster ride, and just getting out and enjoying the beautiful Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and you know, getting sometimes a little too close for comfort with these things. Not, you know, I mean, I've learned to accept that there is worse things out there than Bigfoot. Bigfoot would just assume to just watch you and leave you alone. You know, if they want to do their own thing. It's the other things out here in these mountains that, quite frankly, I don't care too much for.
Yeah, no. It's real quick. I want to add some context to that. It is so Eastern Tennessee how you described where you live, because almost everybody I knew growing up described what truck stop they lived off. Go past that truck stop and you'll come right down through here, right? So you go through this way. So yeah, it was hilarious. I totally get what you're talking about on that, man. But yeah, so no. You got some awesome stories, man, and I'm really glad I got you, man. In fact, man, I feel like I've caught you at the pinnacle of your you've got street cred now, man, like legitimate like street cred, like for real. And I got some time in those Smoky Mountains up there, that Grandfather Mountain and the place up in that way, and I know exactly some of the stuff that you were talking about. I've talked to several people. You know, I have friends all over the world, man. I've had people calling the show from New Zealand, Australia, the UK. And they're like, man, what's up with those Appalachian Mountains? I'm like, man, well, I don't know where you want to start, bro. So, yeah, man, I'm glad I got you on here, man. So everybody, Harley is, I like to eat the dessert before we get into it. Harley recently, so we're going to work in reverse, brother. All right. We're going to start with your most recent, and I want to back you up on this because it's just so amazing. Harley recently just had a major, I would say that it would probably be like one of the holy grails for all Bigfoot researchers. Harley, run it down for us, brother, and show everybody what you got there.
So October 23rd, third Saturday of October here, the biggest rivalry for Tennessee, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Well, I did not watch the game. I was out researching, because quite frankly, I thought we were going to get beat. I'm glad we won. I'm just going to say go Balls. But so my buddies Rick and Steven, they came down. They're from Virginia, about 5.5, 6 hours away from me. We went out and we're hitting the trail, and we get up next to the creek because after Helene had hit, I hadn't went up past where I normally go because I knew the creek had tore some stuff up. I was sure of it, but I didn't go up that far. And we were down there walking around looking, and it was just like a completely new place. Like the creek was all washed out, the banks were washed out, sandy and gravel everywhere. And we get to looking around, and there's a real soft gravel, like real small pieces of gravel, and there was a small footprint, like a baby footprint, like 8 inches long, 4 inches across at the toes, and almost 3 inches at the heel. So this was like a baby Bigfoot because it had a mid-tarsal break. When this thing stepped, you could see where the arch in its foot was.
Yep.
So, I mean, we could have tried to cast it, but there was no definitive toes, but you could plain as day see the mid-tarsal break. I was sitting there looking at that. I was just fascinated by that. I was like, this is a baby.
Right.
So, I mean, that just shows that this area is either a nesting site for them or they're raising their young here. It could be anything, honestly. But my buddy Rick hollered at me. He said, Harley, come and look at this. And I was like, what is it? He said, this. And I walked over. I seen it initially right away. My jaw dropped. I was like, holy cow. Because where this thing stepped, it was kind of on an incline. And I honestly didn't think it was going to come out. But from where this thing had stepped, it kind of slid a little bit down the hill. And that's why it looks kind of funky on one side. It stepped and it slid on that incline. And I was just blown away. It's 15 inches long, 8 inches across at the toes, and almost 5 inches at the heel. But this track, I mean, it's unbelievable. Now, it's not like most other tracks that you see out of a Bigfoot because the heel is kind of thin, and like their feet are a lot different than ours.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.